And now, once again, Richard Thomas.
Our next story grabbed international headlines when it happened in 1994, and it continues to have an enormous impact on the lives of an entire nation. It's the story of a miracle born out of tragedy, and shows how even one small life can change the world. In 1989, Reginald Green, a former reporter for some of Britain's major newspapers, and his wife, Maggie, moved their family to Bodega Bay, California. There, they raised their son, Nicholas, and daughter, Eleanor, in a peaceful home overlooking the ocean. Summers, however, were spent traveling in Europe.
Oh, we loved it. We all loved it. The buildings, the history of it, and Nicholas loved those sorts of things, too.
It was 1994, and this year, the Greens were vacationing in southern Italy.
It was the first time that, as a family, we'd been south of Rome, really. So we were driving down from there and seeing some sights along the way, and then looking forward to about a week in Sicily.
To reach Sicily, they would have to drive through a region called Calabria.
We didn't know that that stretch of the road was dangerous. You know, it had an ancient reputation, Calabria as a place for bandits, but I didn't know that it was still a place of bandits.
At about 10:30 p.m., Reg was driving a deserted stretch of road when suddenly a car approached from behind and pulled up next to him.
I looked across and saw a man with a mask and a gun, and they were shouting at us. We don't know what the words were, but it was clear we were supposed to pull over.
I remember thinking if we stopped now, they could do anything to us, kill us all, kidnap the children, whatever. So I decided to accelerate, and I did.
But when Reg started to pull away, the bandits opened fire.
It was terrifying. First, the back window was blown out, and then Reg's window.
I fixed my eye on the road in front of me, and eventually we pulled away from them.
After the other car dropped back, it was such a relief. I looked back and saw Eleanor and Nicholas still asleep. We thought, thank goodness they'd slept through this.
The feeling was great relief. You know, we kind of done it. We got away from them, and therefore it was the right decision to have taken. Well, we didn't know the full extent of the problem.
A few miles later, the Greens came upon a major traffic accident.
By the side of the road, there was police cars and ambulance, and at first the policeman was telling us to go on. We managed to explain to them, you know, bang, bang, men with guns, you know, what had happened.
As Reg opened the back door to show the policeman more of the damage, he made a horrifying discovery.
The interior light came on, and I saw this little patch of blood on Nicholas's head.
Nicholas! He's been hit! Help! Infermieri! Infermieri!
Policeman realized what had happened and ran back to his police car, shouting.
And then instantly the ambulance was already there, and the men bundled him out of the car and put him in the ambulance.
He had a little sheepskin that was now just a fragment of what it had been. He'd slept with it virtually every night of his life.
Take this to him!
I said, you know, he'll be frightened if he wakes up and he hasn't got this with him. They couldn't understand the words, but they could understand the mood.
They took him away in an ambulance. Men who didn't speak English took my little boy away, and that was a horrible feeling too. When we got to the hospital, they took us into a room and put a chair for me. And you know from the old movies, when they tell you to sit down, that's bad news.
I have to be upfront with you.
And the chief surgeon simply said the bullet had struck at the base of the skull, where all the brain functions start from.
We cannot operate at this time.
They couldn't operate at that moment. They only hoped that he would recover sufficiently for them to be able to operate.
I'll leave you for yourself for now, and I'm going to go back with Nicholas, but I want to promise you that we are doing the best that we can.
So it's quite clear to us at that moment that this wonderful little brain that had been so full of bright dreams and hopes was going to be very severely damaged, whatever happened.
The dramatic conclusion when It's a Miracle continues. While driving on a deserted stretch of roads south of Rome, Italy, the Green family was attacked by highway bandits. Although they managed to escape, a bullet struck their 7-year-old son, Nicholas, in the base of the brain. The Greens spent the next 48 hours waiting for news, any news, that their son was going to live.
Miss Green, we'll keep you informed if anything might change. I'll promise you.
He was in critical condition, and they wanted to do everything they could to protect him. I only got to spend any time with Nicholas once. That was very hard, too, not being able to get in.
Nicholas, Mommy and Daddy love you very much.
In the end, they did let me in once.
And you'll always be with us, and we'll always be with you.
I wonder if they knew it was hopeless. I don't know. But I did get to hold his hand and talk to him.
I love you, sweetheart.
Got to tell him I love him.
Mommy loves you.
They called us to the hospital after 2 days and sat down again, all very silent.
The result of the last test just came in, and there is still no brain activity.
Nicholas was clinically dead.
So Maggie and I sat there. We didn't say very much to each other. I remember holding hands and thinking, how was I going to get through the rest of my life without Nicholas?
Now that he's gone, we should donate his organs.
It was very simple for us to make that choice. You know, there was this perfect little body. It hadn't been harmed in any way. And the mind, the spirit, was all gone.
With that decision made, doctors prepared to use Nicholas's organs to give the miracle of life to 7 young Italians.
Nicholas's liver went to a 19-year-old who was in her final coma that night. His 2 kidneys went to 13-year-old and 11-year-old kids. His heart went to a 14-year-old who was no bigger than Nicholas because he'd been sick for so long.
We met 6 of the 7 all together with their families. To see this explosion of life and to think that one little body do all this. Yes, it did. It saved all those families from going through the devastation that we were going through.
Those organs aren't Nicholas's anymore. They belong to those other people. But that gift is living, and that generosity that was truly Nicholas's is still giving. And another miracle here is that the girl who would have died, she was in her final coma, received Nicholas's liver, has since gotten married and had a child. She's had a little boy who, of course, they've named Nicholas.
But the miracle didn't stop there. Reg and Maggie's decision to donate Nicholas's organs triggered an outpouring of love and gratitude from the entire nation of Italy. For their selfless generosity, the President of Italy presented them with a gold medal. Nicholas was revered as a national hero, and today his name can be seen on the walls of hospitals, schools, and memorials throughout the country. Since that fateful night 5 years ago, the Greens have returned to Italy on dozens of occasions to honor their son and continue promoting the importance of organ donation.
Organ donation rates in Italy have more than doubled since before Nicholas died. And that means that literally thousands of people are alive today who would have died.
Today, the Greens still keep in touch with the recipients of Nicholas's organs, as well as the many Italians who were touched by their generosity. Maggie and Reg have received countless gifts from the Italian people in Nicholas's memory, but none more touching than the bell tower that resides near their home in Bodega Bay.
Bells started to arrive from all parts of Italy, and now there are 140 of them. The centerpiece was made by the foundry that's been making bells for the papacy for the last 1,000 years. This magnificent bell is Nicholas's name and the name of the 7 recipients. When the wind blows, a few of the bells ring, and then the wind picks up and the whole orchestra plays. A lot of us think of it sounds like happy children at play. When we were on vacation right at the end, we played a game, and he was a Roman soldier. And we were going to go back to Rome after many years of glory on the frontiers of Rome. We told him there'd be poems written to you, and children would cheer your name in the streets, and everyone in Italy would know him. Well, you know, it was only a game, but it all came true. But with this difference, that Nicholas conquered not by the force of arms, but by the power of love. And of course, that's much stronger.
Reginald Green has put the full story of his son's life and death into a book, The Nicholas Effect, A Boy's Gift to the World. Proceeds go to the Nicholas Green Foundation to help raise awareness of the need for organ donations.